Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free at AAA.com/commanders. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. What up? I am working on almost no sleep. So hope y'all are having a nice day. I am Captain Red Eye, and Captain Red Eye doesn't sleep on planes.
Oh, you don't sleep on planes or even like try to get a nap in?
I try every time, but it never works out for me. It's like, it's anything. Open a soda can. Person's eating a snack. The TV in front of me through the crack I can see has Ted Lasso on. I can't sleep. So
right.
I need conditions of quiet, dark, and not people walking around having to, go number 2 at 4 a.m. for me to actually sleep. And none of those things occur on a plane. So unless I get lucky and get like a row to myself or something and can kind of splay out against the window, that's the only time I have a shot. And we had a full plane last night coming back. People were pretty juiced up and it just did not work out for me. So if I lose my train of thought, deal with it, because nothing I can do today about it. I'm getting through.
Okay, fair enough. I think I remember this actually when you and I had to fly back from Vegas 7 years ago from the Caps. I remember, did you sleep? And you're like, no, you laughed at me. So, yeah.
No, it's a never. But at least we had a nice flight home. That was a good one after yesterday, where it was a little scurred in the beginning. Another slow start. Our stats guy sent me a note. Aggregate score on the road through quarter 1 this year, Packers, Falcons, Chargers, 27-0 other team. So it's not been good, like early, but in this case, unlike the other two, when the ball started rolling downhill the other way, it started rolling downhill fast. And I'll say this, I don't know if I really got it across on Friday, but I had a really, really, really good feeling about this going in. I thought the matchup really kind of hit the high points of where we're very talented and very good. And the things that have been bothersome for our defense, specifically pass catching athletic running backs, pass catching athletic tight ends, this is not something the Chargers have. I like Hampton. He's a very good player. He's emerging more as a receiver. I think probably a little bit out of necessity because their offensive line is so beat up that they're dumping the ball off more. I'll give them credit early. They've scored early in every game they've played because they probably have their script. Their script was pretty good. They did a few things that came as a surprise. And then, no offense to them out there, but the people up in Baltimore are having a terrible day. We'll get to them in a little bit, but we'll agree with this. Greg Roman is their offensive coordinator. They, to me, when I watch them on film, are very predictable. So predictable. They don't have the things that hurt us bad on offense. Herbert's very good. We'll get to him in a little bit. And then secondarily, and most importantly, we've played teams that are marginalized on the offensive line, but not like this. This was bad. And so for all of those reasons, and Jayden coming back, and I felt like we could run the ball on them because that's not their strength on defense. And why would we throw the ball all over the place when we're missing all of our receivers? I don't care that Jayden's back. All of that added up to me. I was extremely confident. And when I saw every pundit picked against us, I went, they're all going to be eating crow today. I'm like, all of them. You could ask London and Logan. I walked in the stadium going, I think we're going to win, and I actually think we're going to win big if we don't turn the ball over very much. And I wasn't surprised by the final score.
I mean, to be fair as well, it was a huge swing right before the half where it looks like they get a punt return for a touchdown, and then the Commanders flip it back the other way. That was, for all intents and purposes, the turning point. The fact that they didn't give up any points until after the first quarter when it was 10-0 is, pretty absurd, honestly, the way this looked at it. I want to go back to what you said, though, about them scoring because of their script or whatever. This is how I thought the Falcons game could have played out. And I know it didn't play out that way, but I remember kind of telling you, if they can just stick around with those first 7 to 10 points and settle in, I think they could come back. Well, what happens yesterday? That's exactly what happens. And I was pleasantly surprised it was on both sides of the ball, not the offense having to just outscore the Chargers, essentially. I mean, you said this, like, I'm going back to what you just said there, too, of, oh, they didn't have to pass the ball. Yet maybe the most absurd pass of the year is that 4th down throw to Debo to really ice the game in the 4th quarter. I mean, that was, there's a phrase that, people throw around, ignorant, what. That was ignorant of what they did in like the most cocky way possible. I loved it. That throw was ridiculous. So it was also a reminder of like, JD5 back there, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Have you seen the video of Debo and Jayden practicing the dance that they were going to do during the timeout before they threw that pass? Like, we were having an argument on air going, do you just go for this? Because there is a big difference. Like, this happened in Ireland a week ago where the Steelers talked themselves into going for a 4th and goal at the 4, not a 4th and goal at the 1, a 4th and goal at the 4 with a 10-point lead, didn't make it, had a blown coverage, and all of a sudden a 10-point can't come back from it lead was all of a sudden in jeopardy because all of a sudden all the Vikings needed was a field goal. And so I'm like, 13's way better than 10, guys. I know it's still a 2-score game, but 13's way better than 10. You can afford to make one huge mistake and it will not kill you. And in the end, they're like, nah, we'll just go for it anyway. And they closed out a 99-yard closing drive time. That started at the 1-yard line, that drive. The other one for me, there's 2 others that I really want to bring up that I thought were this is the season-changing game, frankly. Like, in a number of ways, this is the season-changing game. They get the second chance after the roughing the kicker penalty. That Ladd McConkey return was utterly ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Had to, take that off the board, right? We knew it was coming off the board, but it was still crazy that it happened. They get a second chance. There's still only like 30 seconds left in the half. They're only at their own 17-yard line. And that throw to Luke McCaffrey was out of nowhere. Incredible, perfectly placed, incredible catch by him. All the people who are jumping down his back in preseason, y'all need to shut up. This guy has become a massive contributor for them. This 3 weeks running now that he's made major plays in special teams or on offense. Nobody is pretending he's replacing Terry. Nobody's pretending he's going to end up being the number 1 receiver on this team. But he's become someone, as Dan Quinn told me the other day, we can trust. Like, because he's been forced to, and now we can trust and we know he's going to contribute for us. Those 2 moments were enormous. A 99-yard closing time drive against, oh, by the way, like a top 3 scoring defense. Like, when all they needed to do was just they didn't go conservative on them. They took their chances. They walked down the field. And then the other one that really, really, really stands out to me, and I think is the play of the season, it's 10-0. The Chargers are moving down the field. They complete a pass in the red zone that Quan Martin knocks out of Quentin Johnston's hands. That fumble changed literally everything. Time of possession at that point was like 12 minutes to 2. They had outgained the Commanders 129-5. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. That's what it was, 129-5. And 17-0 is a hell of a hole to try to get out of. Even if what we saw continued the way we saw, like, okay, they finally got their bearings, they're starting to go. The Quan Martin forced fumble really changed, I think, the trajectory of the season because it changed the trajectory of that game.
What I loved was after the game was Von Miller saying he had a good week of practice, then shouting across the locker room, about how good he was practicing, and it ends up leading to that. I'm with you. That hopelessness was kind of creeping in from the Falcons game of like, here we go again. Like, any fan my age knows that, like, sometimes it starts snowballing and that things are about to be bad, and the same thing happens or is about to happen there. And, like, to give the Chargers credit too, very pro Washington crowd. So you weren't really hearing them in that first quarter at all after that. Then you really started hearing them in the second quarter.
Yeah.
All I could think of was, oh God, like they're going to take the crowd that's even there to their credit, take them out of the game. That happens. All of a sudden the crowd actually wakes up there too. That ended up being a very pro Washington crowd.
I don't want to take anything away from what the defensive line did, but they did what they were supposed to do in this case. So Rashawn Slater, I mean, this is where I feel for Herbert a little bit, and because he's terrific. You watch him live too. He's really, really, really terrific.
Yeah.
You lost, but they should be playing with 2 Pro Bowl tackles. And they played with neither one of them. And the backups, frankly, shouldn't be in the position that they're in. And then Mekhi Becton came back from a concussion, but then got hurt in the middle of the game. The right tackle got hurt in the middle of the game. And all of a sudden, they were down to backups that were a sieve over the last couple of weeks anyway. And now with Joe Alt out, they were helpless, and they were really hopeless there. And so I don't want to take anything away from what the D-line did, which was 5 sacks and a bazillion pressures and all these things. But that's kind of what you're supposed to do when you have a marginalized team, and they really did it. Dorrance Armstrong was outstanding. Von Miller, who terrorized that team as a Bronco for years and years and years, had his best moments, 1.5 sacks for him. Payne, again, was a mess. Javon Kinlaw blew up in 3 or 4 plays where he's literally throwing people out of the way and standing in the backfield. Somebody spun into him, and he picked him up and chucked him down like he was in WrestleMania. Like, he's blowing up plays left and right. So the defensive line, I would describe it as did what they're supposed to do. They had a mismatch yesterday, and they took advantage of it.
No, there's 2 players here. You already mentioned there's 2 players here that I think a lot of people owe a lot of apologies to. The first one is Luke McCaffrey that we just talked about. Yeah. And the second one is Javon Kinlaw.
All that stuff, I'm not going to name names, but all that stuff that happened in the summer on Luke was way over the top. Like way over the top. I'm like, you guys, like, stop pretending we drafted him to be Terry McLaurin. We did not. He's turned into a very, very, very good contributor by necessity in a variety of ways. So, like, get off his back now.
Also, not a first-round pick, not a second-round pick, a third-round pick. That's where I thought, honestly, everyone needed to chill out. It's not like he was this very high draft pick. His last name happens to be McCaffrey, so you actually are paying attention to him is kind of how I, gathered why everyone was reacting. He might even have been a compensatory pick.
Like, it was really a 4th-round pick. Like, who cares? Like, it was just come on, give him a break here. Yeah.
So that's 1. 2 is Kinlaw. You and I talked about this, how there was this weird narrative of like, oh, they overpaid for Kinlaw. When really
Which they didn't.
If you look at the defensive line market, it actually was very much in line with somebody of his caliber. And in fact, you could argue they got him for a steal because of how good he was on film. Once people started actually watching him, he has been great. He has lived up to every expectation, if not more. He's been fantastic when the defensive line is on their game. So I was happy to see him have a day yesterday. Those were just 2 names that everyone was freaking out about a little bit over the summer. And I don't think it was warranted, honestly, for the most part.
I'm not going to go over the overpayment stuff again. It was like, you guys don't know what the market is. Like, when I heard that, I'm like, Milton Williams just got $25 million a year. He's a very, very good player. Odigizua just got over $20 million a year. He had a very good year. He's a very good player.
John Allen.
Yeah. John Allen got about $5 to $6 million more a year than he did. Like, so he got paid exactly where he should have been paid for what he's produced to this point. And if he outperforms it, you're going to see that this was a steal for them at that rate. But he had to outperform it. I mean, that was the thing. He had to do it. He's been doing it here. He's happy. They painted a picture of, listen, he had a lot of injuries early in his career. You haven't seen the best of him. We know him. He's going to thrive in this defense. They've been right about that. They've been raving about him since the spring and the summer, so I agree with you on that. For this particular game, there are 3 players I want to point out that I felt had a really big turnaround game outside of the defensive line, which I will reiterate. I don't want to take anything away, but they did what they were supposed to do. They had a mismatch yesterday because of all those injuries and some of those backups who probably shouldn't be out there right now for the Chargers, but that's their problem to deal with. They dominated them. They should dominate them. On the secondary, it was a turnaround game. When Joe Witt said during his press conference last Thursday that they had listened to the noise and they were hearing the noise, and then he was saying things like, we don't want people to put capes on. I think he was pointing at Lattimore saying, don't guess. I had talked to Dan Quinn about this before the game. He was like, what we mean by this is we're asking everybody to not guess. And he said, look, like, all of this is actually coming from a good place. They're feeling the heat a little bit. They don't like the way they played collectively. They're hearing it about not getting any turnovers, and they're trying to make plays. He goes, it's not that like everyone's going rogue here. They're just like, they're trying to make plays, and we're trying to remind them, let it come to you. Don't go rogue on us. Stop guessing was the way it was put to me. Like, we're trying to tell them, stop guessing. And Mike Sanderstill had a terrific game yesterday. Quan Martin, like I said, had what I think is like the play that really turned that game around and gave us life, gave them momentum, gave them the energy they needed. The Chargers are going to be up bare minimum 13-0 at that point. Cameron Dicker from that range does not miss, literally does not miss. They were bare minimum going to be up 13-0 if they didn't get a stop there. Maybe more, who knows? He was extremely physical the whole game, and Lattimore was extremely physical the whole game. But like I said, I loved this matchup for what the Chargers came in with, how they were marginalized, the weapons they don't have that seem to hurt us, and frankly, I found their offense, and if I found it this way, that's not good. Very predictable. They don't do a ton of motion that isn't just window dressing. Once they got away from whatever those scripted early plays were that did work, everything they were doing was extremely predictable to me. I think that's something they have to think about and deal with moving forward, but that's their problem, and we'll see in 4 years because we're never going to see you guys again. But it was a turnaround game for those prominent members of the secondary yesterday.
No, I actually thought the Chargers outthought themselves a few times too. There was that drive, I think it was the third quarter, where they had converted it on this 2nd and long, and then they had the penalty. Was that the third quarter or the second quarter? I'm trying to remember which one it was, where he converted some really long one. Then they had another penalty. It ended up being I think a third or 2nd and 30 or a 2nd and 30 or something or a 3rd and 30, something like that. And Monken went ahead and just did a draw. And I was like, guys, Herbert's been converting those. You didn't even give him a chance there. I thought that was kind of you're already almost waving the white flag there. And I know it's an absurd play call, but we've seen it against the secondary that if you do test them, you can get them. And so that was another part of this too, is I thought, okay, maybe they have turned it around just enough that even the Chargers are going, we're not going to risk it on one of these long types of plays. Last week, that was the type of play where Penix would have ran around for half a second and then hit one of those guys down the field all of a sudden untouched. So I thought that was also good yesterday, that the Chargers were respecting the secondary a little bit more yesterday as well.
I got a buddy of mine who's huge, P1 NFL into it the other day, wrote to me a text that I was I had to write back going, I don't think you're watching us. He goes, do you think the Commanders are going to trade for a running back? He keeps wanting to send me Breece Hall for some reason. And I wrote him, but I go, we have the number 2 rush offense in the NFL right now. We're averaging almost 6 yards a carry. It ain't broke. And they've said, it's going to be by committee, but if there's a hot hand, we'll go to the hot hand. And for the first time, we really, really, really had one. Bill Krosky-Merritt is getting more and more comfortable by the game. This happened early with Jayden last year, where that first game, he was just charging out of the pocket immediately. And by week 3, he was a completely different quarterback by week 3. London was talking about this yesterday. He was like, it is very rare that you see somebody with his skill set that has patience. And that's the thing that really stands out about him, is how patient he actually is. And considering he basically didn't play his last year of college football, he's basically been sitting out, which to me was kind of I don't know how many reps he can take, because I'm scared over the course of a season. One, he's a rookie. 2, he didn't play very much. Is he got the NFL calluses to deal with the punishment that he's going to take. And we're learning with him, he runs very physically. He doesn't avoid people. He's very slippery, the way he kind of gets in and out of these holes. There's every single game we've seen, he's got to tuck his shirts in, because every single game, someone ends up grasping at air and ends up with a piece of his jersey like this. So he makes people miss in these short spaces. He admitted to me after the game that first touchdown run wasn't designed to go that way. He just saw it and went. This is the second time now. The first touchdown he scored in his career, same thing. That wasn't supposed to go where it went. So he said, I'm just playing football. So he has got a little bit of this Jayden instinctual stuff that I don't think you can teach. He sees some of these things. This is, by far, bar none, one of the most best and effective 7th round picks I can remember, just walking in the door for them. And if this is what it is now, it's just going to get better and better with him.
Best late round pick since Cam Curl. I'd
Cam
probably go.
Cam Curl stepped in as a starter very quickly too. Yeah. It's actually funny you bring him up, because that was a really good trivia question. He and Jalen Lane a couple weeks ago both scored a touchdown. So what was the last time that 2 rookies scored a touchdown for the Commanders in the same game? And it's Chase Young and Cam Curl are actually the last time that actually happened.
Not only that, it was against the 49ers in Arizona.
Right.
It was in a third party
world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With no fans.
Right.
On Bill, he's absurd to watch running because I think we've gotten so used to just mediocre running, I guess, a little bit here. And, Brian Robinson, for all intents and purposes, was run into somebody and then fall forward for maybe an extra yard or two. This guy is like popping out of the pile at times in the middle of traffic, cutting it one way. I compared him last week or 2 weeks ago to Clinton Portis and how like Clinton Portis had that.
Yeah, he looks like him a little bit. Yeah.
Like he just had that vision where he finds the seam and then all of a sudden he pops out. Or to your point too, he cuts it back in a way where you're like, I didn't even know that was going to develop that way, but he can kind of see it. He's just a joy to watch. And I'm with you. I didn't think he'd go this well, but I think I had kind of said, let me see how he is the first month of the season because I don't think you can give him, the type of load that we're used to seeing. But what I think is hilarious is I woke up this morning and I think someone posted the yardage in the entire league. He's like fourth in yards in the league, leads in touchdowns, and his carries are like a third lower than the top guys. He's so efficient at running the ball. That's a great combination to have right now through just 5 weeks of the season.
He averaged almost 10 yards a carry yesterday.
That's absurd.
It is absurd. What they want to see him grow with is away from the ball when he's not getting the handoffs. That's what they want to see him a little more in pass protection. They want to see him understand. Like he had one great route where he kind of escaped out and they hit him. He almost scored on that too. He's dangerous runner. They haven't had I loved B-Rob, but to your point, he was kind of a hammer. And in some cases, that physicality can be energizing. And it was. I used to call it gas in the tank for them for a little while, where he was kind of like the physical force that they needed. But they still do, I think, to a degree, more explosive playmakers, a running back who can hit home runs. He can hit home runs. Like it is so clear he can hit home runs. And he's tough, too. He's not just elusive. He's tough. He will take hits, spin off of people. He finishes runs. And if this is what it is now, then let's see what it looks like in a month, 2 months, next year. Like it's really, really heading in that direction. The other really good thing that happened, and this team needed this, was I'll hear from Dan Quinn today, but I don't recall the training staff coming onto the field once yesterday. Jayden obviously came back, totally looked like himself. Well, he just kind of got his sea legs back. And then all of a sudden, this was the first time, even, include the first 2 games where he did not look like the player that we saw a year ago. It took a minute, but like all of a sudden, this kind of magic act that he's able to kind of pull off, the throw to McCaffrey, we're going to practice the touchdown dance before we come out of the huddle on a 4th and goal to salt a game away. Like, because I just know we're going to get it. Like that was last year, Jayden. So we finally got that. And then John Bates was back. Great. Percy Butler is back. Great. I don't think anybody got seriously injured yesterday. Terry, we'll see. I don't know. Noah Brown trending up, so maybe we get him back by the Bears game. So that's starting to turn the corner. Practice window open for Sam Cosmi. I actually don't expect him to play this coming week. That's my feeling on it. But he's sooner rather than later, like probably within the next month, they're going to get him back out on the field and playing. So hopefully we're kind of over the rash of injuries that we had. We lost a lot of people, but the rash of injuries, and that's turning the corner for them too.
Yesterday was a good reminder too, just because we talked about a lot, but we didn't talk about Jayden specifically, of just, as you said, he not only looked good, he looked better than he did all season, right? Like he looked comfortable
100%.
yesterday. His running prowess is unmatched. Like when he gets that kind of radar to just take the ball and run, he's unmatched with all of that stuff. So it was also just a nice reminder yesterday, when the franchise quarterback is healthy and he's comfortable in the system, you can basically do no wrong with him. Combine that with all of the, absurd people that stepped up, with Bill having a day, with Luke having a really big catch. Debo continues to be just a stud all over the place, no matter how they use him. It was just a nice reminder yesterday too, of when that guy's healthy and ready to go, the team kind of feels invincible a little bit. And I think that's what we're getting at, is with like a win like that yesterday, it does feel like the season kind of turned on a dime a little bit, of getting a win like the way that they did.
They went across the country. That's a 3-1 team, and they just routed them short of the first 12 minutes of the game where they just couldn't stop him on the script. Herbert had his moments, but it was ridiculously dominant. I mean, at one point I got sent a note where they had outgained them 275-70, from the second quarter until a certain point in the fourth quarter. And then I remember when the Chargers came, what was it? I don't know how many years ago, where they did the same thing. Remember at the end of the game, they just never gave us the ball back. They had this long drive, never gave us the ball back. We did it to them. And then I thought it was so funny when everybody kept saying the 99-yard touchdown drive is the longest since 2001. And I'm sitting there going, it's the longest of all time. You can't go any farther than that.
That's right.
It's impossible to go any farther than that. It had that. Yesterday was the first reminder of 2024 to me. That was the first time the team looked like that again to me.
The game you're thinking of is 2021. It was the first game back after COVID that they got to have with home fans.
Terry had the crazy catch in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Had a crazy catch in it. And then they it was a one-score game and they just never gave us the ball back and ran 10 minutes off the clock.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a brutal end of game. To your point too of just how this team played yesterday, I think one of my favorite things that happened, and I was kind of trying to say it on Friday, was that this team rarely makes the same mistakes 2 weeks in a row. I loved the defense overall of tackling guys, making sure they were tackling guys, not punching the ball out until the guy was held up, essentially. Yep. I thought that was a great course correction. It wasn't a huge course correction, but they needed it. We've seen it before with this team, with this franchise, where sometimes they don't learn that, and they did yesterday. And I thought that was a very great sign, pretty much right off the bat, that at the very least, they were stopping guys, making sure they were tackled, holding on, making sure that they were done like that. That's a very good course correction. And I'm always glad that there are adults in the room to make those corrections.
They were the way more physical team. Quinn called it, I want them to feel the speed and violence of us. I think it took a minute, but then it showed up. And it's really I know it doesn't seem it because they just had so many breakdowns against Atlanta, but they were the more physical team in that one too. Yep. They just their defense made, as they put it, too many guesses that were wrong. And when you're wrong against high level talent like Bijan and Kyle Pitts, you get burned for it. And that's what ended up happening to them. This week was good. It also makes this week fun because we get the Bears again. It's going to be a night game. Now that we won this game, they're off a bye, not unlike last year. They were off a bye when we played them and had the Hail Mary game. They're going to be feeling it and hearing it. They're going to hear about the Hail Mary 8,000 times. Tyreek Stevenson should not do interviews this week, frankly. Ben is going to get hit up on all sorts of things, so I don't know if we're their boogeyman or not, but this is going to be a very, very, very fun week for sure. And I'm glad it's off of a win because I think we needed it. And this does feel like the Raiders game was reassuring off of the Green Bay game because they were resilient. They bounced back, didn't have Jayden, boat raced the team. But those guys don't look that good. It's on our field at 1:00. We kind of should beat them no matter what. I don't care who we're missing. And they did. This one off the Atlanta game was across the country against a team that's very well coached, Jim Harbaugh, high-level quarterback, been around the block a million times, and a defense that, at least as a pass defense, was among the best in the NFL, one of the best scoring defenses in the NFL, and we won going away like that. This could be the one where I look at, I think, at the end of the year and go, this is where the season really began for them.
I'm with you. Didn't Stevenson get hurt for the year too for the Bears? I thought he was out. I thought maybe he is. You'll know.
Was it him or was it Jalen Johnson? I thought it was a different.
It's Jalen Johnson. Yeah. You're right. It was Jalen Johnson. Did you know? By the way, just before we move on from the Chargers, did you know the uniform yesterday was a first? They had never worn white helmet, powder jersey, powder pants. They had never done that look before. As a uniform geek, I think they have maybe the best uniforms in the whole entire NFL, not including throwbacks, which are now having a moment, which I love. That look is just one of the best in all of sports. And I thought that was actually a funny thing I saw yesterday. They had never rocked those before. So you got to beat them the first time they ever wore all powder blues as well.
All right, we'll go through the rest of the NFL in a moment. Brad, watch the show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. All right, let's go through the rest of week 5. Over in England, the Browns, I thought were going to give us a gift yesterday. Any loss for a team that I feel is contending type teams is always good for us, especially in a situation like this, but not to be. Carson Wentz coming back from injury, coming back late, clutch, gives the Vikings a win with a nice touchdown pass to Jordan Addison.
I'm telling you once again, KOC is one of the best coaches in the game. Somehow, some way, they just get it done. I knew, McVay was going to be wonderkind. I knew Kyle Shanahan was going to be wonderkind. KOC has just turned into just a joy to watch his teams at this point. I'm not surprised they came back and won this game. He's literally maybe coach of the year again at this point with how good they've been.
I remember when we were worried about Tom Brady giving information to the Raiders that they might use to win games. Whatever he's telling them is not working.
Yeah, right.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Dimes destroyed them yesterday. Pete Carroll's debut, Chip Kelly's debut out there, it is not looking good. We might have broke them because they didn't look this bad when we played them a few weeks ago. And this is now 3 weeks running of them being inept.
The Bears game last week was close. They probably should have won that.
That's true.
I think that's the game that might have broke them because here it was. They put together a really good effort. The Bears get a blocked field goal. All of a sudden, it flips the other way. I told you I thought this operation was going to take a little bit to get going, but it's really bad. Like there's not even a sign of this thing's getting better. I do think there is at least you have to give some credit to Indianapolis here. They are one of the best teams in the league to start the season off. I think you need to give them a little more credit than I think we normally would. But for the Raiders, like I said, I'm mad that I listened to everybody and they said Geno was going to be a good quarterback with all of these players. They can't put it together right now. I'm not really sure what you do at this point besides going back to the drawing board there. So
I'm in the camp of with the Colts. It's a long season and I kind of need to see it to believe it situation, but there should be a number of think pieces this week. Are they good? And you can make the argument they are.
Blowing out any team in the NFL, we've talked about this, is hard to do. And the fact that they did it against that team with all the veterans and, guys they have, that's pretty impressive to me.
Yep. Last week I said there are teams that just will not go winless. In fact, no one does. And we got one. Giants looked just fine early in the game against the Saints. And then Spencer Rattler lit them up. Saints get their first win. So congratulations to them. For the G-Men, I'm sorry, but I don't think that this crew is going to survive this. Like, I don't know. It's not going to get much better than this. Like, I just, if this is what it is, I'm not surprised by this because no team is bad in the NFL. They were at home. They were favorites, actually. So I'm not surprised at all. Like, I called this on Friday. I go, no one goes winless. They're at home. They're getting a bad team here. The Giants aren't very good either. So they won. Doesn't surprise me at all.
I think what's actually most concerning about the Giants is this front seven. This front seven should be crushing teams, and they're not. They're not keeping it low scoring enough. I mean, I know it's not like absurd yet yesterday, but they're not like dominant like we've seen. So I mean, that's where I land on it. Did you see, by the way, the stat on Rattler winning that start? Did you see that with New Orleans?
No.
First New Orleans drafted quarterback to win. Do you want to give a guess to the year?
That was first drafted quarterback to. So this has got to be pre-Drew Brees, is what you're saying, then.
Yep.
Oh man, I don't know who.
1998
Aaron Brooks?
It must have been Brooks because it was 98 was the year that they threw out there. The last drafted quarterback to win a game for them.
Wow,
that's so absurd when you think about it.
I will say this though too. They ain't tanking for Arch. That's done. Like, you don't need a tank for him. He's going back to Texas after this year or somewhere else in college because that ain't happening. He ain't the number one pick. That is not happening. Right. apparently some teams could go winless. I was like, the Jets at home, the Cowboys defense is terrible. Wow. They're like, obviously I didn't see a ton, but they were playing a 1:00 game. So I saw a bunch of it. So I saw, it was one of the Jets reporters wrote, I covered the Gase years. This is worse, is the way that they put it. Yeah. I mean, they're embarrassingly bad. Like it's spun the wrong way. I assume they'll win a game or two, but frankly, the way it looks, it screams that might be a one and done. It's bad.
What did you used to call Gase? You had a nickname for Gase where because his eyes were
right?
was it googly eyes?
Taco eyes.
Taco eyes. That's right.
Taco eyes.
Because there was the gif of him looking at the taco going.
Yeah.
All right. I said this last week. The red flag with the Jets was week 1 players meeting. That's absurd. I've never heard of that in any sport. Week 1? Yeah. That's crazy. And then week 4, after they lost to the Dolphins, Aaron Glenn was yelling so loud the media could hear him outside the locker room. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't care how good or bad of a coach you are. When that's happening in the first month of the season, you're toast. You're cooked already, as the kids say.
I agree. The Panthers, this was one of those, if you, not that Miami's terrible, but if you can't win this home game, you kind of might as well just hang it up, because if you're going to be taken serious, you have to win games like this. And they came back and did it. It took a while and it took a minute and was probably scary, but they did. And they were a better team in the second half of the season last year than they were in the first half of the season. So if that repeats, I felt like they could be a team that, if in the right position because of that division, could they get to second place? Or yes, that's possible. I don't feel confident in that after what I've seen, but they did what I think is salvage the start of their season with this comeback yesterday.
They play with fire a little too much. They go down by a little too much from what I've seen with them. But I was kind of saying this, if you're the Panthers, you want to make any jump at all, you honestly should have beaten Miami without Tyreek Hill. Tua hasn't been amazing, for a while here. Good win for them. They pulled this one out of the fire. I'm not really surprised that they did. I don't really like the Dolphins' moxie at this point of the season anyway. So I'm not really surprised at this one.
This is the holy cow. So this was the no team goes winless, or call it. The Titans were at Arizona. Arizona had a huge lead and blew it to them. So I can't imagine that people in Arizona aren't going, when does the sun season start? Because call it. They're not recovering from this. Now that the 49ers navigated the start they've had, I believe the Rams will be in contention. Any thought of the Cardinals could rise up and get to second place in that division or better if things go right, that's over. Forget it. This game ended their season, period.
Call it off of 2 last-second wins, by the way, heading into yesterday's game that they lost. And then yesterday, the way that they lost it was absurd. Yeah. The fumble where they recover a fumble, then they fumble that. The Titans recovered in the end zone. Then their running back does the stupid flip the ball into the back of the end zone.
They never lose if he scores a touchdown. They never lose if he scores the touchdown there. Yes.
It was an absurd cycle of events that got them there to give them the 3rd straight loss of at the last second. Call it on them. You don't recover from those types of losses. And to your point, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks have all navigated the beginning of the season. They're all going to be fine. They will not be fine. That's where I'm landing at here.
The other one that was chalk yesterday was Cincinnati without Burrow and a bad defense has just no shot against a team like the Lions that, give them credit. They're on a pace to outdo what they did a year ago. Okay. So their offense is just fine. And that was the chalkiest of probably the games yesterday, that them running away from Cincinnati is not a surprise.
No, I actually commend Cincinnati here. They looked pretty competent for 2.5, 3 quarters. They were putting up some points. They actually looked like they had some effort going. I'll give Cincy a little bit of credit here, but not surprised. You're not going to stop the juggernaut that is the Lions these days.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll do the ones that matter next. Brave Boys Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. All right, couple of the big ones. Philly's offense remains a mess. They blow a big second half lead. I called this one. I said, I like Denver. I like their defense. AJ Brown's not going to get unlocked if Surtain's going to be on him the whole time. I don't know what's up with their offense. It makes no sense to me that it's as bad as it is, but it is. And if you were wondering, as I looked at their schedule, like, is this the start of a slide for them? It's not. They get the Giants 2 of the next 3 weeks before they get a bye week. They do have an at Minnesota game. We'll see who the quarterback is there. But they have the Giants 2 of the next 3 weeks. So I think they're going to be fine by the time they get to their bye. They got a tougher stretch of the schedule, and it might be like, oh, they're going to go through a little ebb and flow. I feel like they're going to get through this, but at least they're not unbeatable anymore and not unbreakable anymore. And I'm sure they're going to have a weird week talking to the press.
No, they're definitely going to have a weird week talking to the press because our girl Diana Rossini was all over the reporting the last 2 days with them too. And it's fascinating to hear what's going on there. She clearly has some good sourcing there because she was going in depth. Basically, she kind of confirmed what you and I were saying with the pass offense. She said, not only is AJ Brown irked about this, Smith is too. Smith isn't just saying, like, he's like not just being, boisterous about it like AJ is. Then after, I think it was after the game, I saw this tweet, or it was on Threads. You know how the timeline is now. Nothing is in order. She said there are executives kind of already talking. They might move on from one or both of them because the offense has changed so much. And when that starts to get kind of talked about a little bit, that's crazy. But also, you and I have talked about how there's such a well-run ship there. I bet you they're kind of looking, maybe we can get rid of $30 or $40 million of salary and build up the team elsewhere.
They eventually have to do it. I mean, they eventually have to do it, but I think this year you're not moving either one of them now because it doesn't make it any better. Yeah.
No, and she said that. She said, don't expect any movement now, but this is making them think about things down the line. And I was just kind of laughing because this is what they do. They have this, stretch where everything's, bad for a couple of weeks, and then they start winning again, and everyone's kumbaya all over again. I'm just wondering which way it's going to teeter, because we saw it happen 2 years ago where it went the way, way wrong way, where they were like, losing to Tampa in the playoffs, and they were road dogs essentially. So
if I'm the Chiefs, I would jump all over either one of those guys come next year. One, because I think Travis Kelce will probably retire. They do need a veteran, good, established receiver, and AJ Brown with Mahomes changes everything. Like, that's how I would look at that one. I'm not surprised by this. I was very bullish about the Buccaneers going into the season, and to score 38 when they're missing 3 offensive linemen, Mike Evans, another one of their main receivers, Egbuka had a huge day, was not healthy coming into this. Bucky Irving didn't play. They were missing a corner. They're missing their best defensive lineman, and they scored 38 anyway. This just all but, I think they could be the 1 seed. I said this from the get-go. Their path's going to get – they're winning hard games. Wait till they play the easier part of their schedule, which has not happened yet. I think they're going to go on a run. I think Baker's kind of locked in. They have a roster that's very close, very home-built. I really like what they have. So I think the ups and downs, if they're navigating this with all these injuries right now, they have, I think, the opportunity to be the 1 seed, and this is a big win. And the other thing, I'll just say this. Everybody who crowns Seattle's defense as among the best in the NFL, got way out ahead of themselves. They played a very injured Niners team. They played the Cardinals. They weren't playing juggernaut offenses. They just played one that was actually extremely marginalized and couldn't stop them. So slow your roll on Seattle. Seattle, same thing with the Colts. We'll see. It's a long season. We'll see where they end up.
I think Seattle with me is pedigree. I think that's why you kind of thought that maybe that was a little bit better. I'll say this for Baker, though. I think he's firmly entrenched in MVP talks. They keep having these last-second wins, this overtime 100%. Win. He's firmly in that chatter, especially with stats kind of down all across the league, especially with the kickoff rules. Like, we're starting to see the yardage isn't really matching up in years past. the fact that he has all these last-second wins and just has these absurd last drives, and like you just said, missing 7 or 8 starters, essentially, total in that game. He's been phenomenal. They've been really fun to watch.
Yep. Congratulations to Drake May. Got his first marquee win. I kind of smelt this one coming too. The Bills, they kind of sleptwalked the last couple of weeks, but they won because they played, not great opponents, particularly the Saints at home. And the Patriots, Vrabel's going to get them up for something like this. He did, and they got a late win. And May made a couple of very nice plays. Stephon Diggs was barking at those Buffalo people the whole night. So that race is a little bit, at least it's interesting now. I thought the Bills would win the division. I thought they'd be in second place. This puts them in the conversation of at least making it interesting the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots win this division, but the questions are now officially being asked about the Bills. They have no killer instinct at the moment. Now, granted, no killer instinct in September and October. I'm not that concerned, right? Like if they don't need to peak right now to be the one seed in the AFC.
I agree.
But I'll say that's the concern with them right now is they should have won that game. They didn't. They should have beaten the Saints by, a little bit more. They didn't. Good win for the Patriots. Like this is what happens. We're finding this out in the NFL this year, especially. These divisional games are very close pretty much all across the board.
I'll let you finish this sentence. The Ravens are
cooked. They're done.
I think they are. Yeah. This is 2 weeks in a row now. They didn't just get beat. They just got roasted, by teams that people like Houston making the playoffs before the season. Nobody would be surprised. They've had a bad start and their offense hasn't looked great until yesterday. Granted, I'll be fair about this. Their inactive list had 6 Pro Bowlers on it. Okay. So it wasn't just Lamar, and the interior defensive lineman, IR, neck problem. That's no good. Kyle Hamilton was on this list. Marlon Humphrey was on this list. Ronnie Stanley was on this list. They were missing prime time players. Still, the good teams figure out how to be competitive. And the last 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Texans, they literally are not. Lamar is probably not coming back for another couple of weeks. They're cooked. This is good for the AFC. They're cooked.
No, this is bad when you're supposed to hang your head on your defense in a game that Lamar's missing and you put up that effort against that team and you're the home team. There's a lot of factors there. I can look past some injuries, but that's pretty bad for a Harbaugh coach team. And I give the Hamilton, him being out, there has to be a little bit more to that. I saw that it was Lamar and Hamilton. They are the 2 highest paid players on that team, one on each side of the ball. So yeah. I think there's a little bit of an excuse, but losing by that much at home to that team that was struggling for a while, Harbaugh's his seat's getting real, real hot. They won't fire him in the middle of the season, but no way. I think Baltimore fans are pretty much barking up that tree at this point.
Last one tonight, we got Chiefs at Jags, so we got a very good Monday Night Football game. Chiefs kind of turned themselves around last week at the Ravens' expense. Is that about the Ravens or is that about the Chiefs? Obviously, the team I would trust in a big spot is Kansas City, not Jacksonville, but Jacksonville has had a very nice start here. I think defense carries the way here for Kansas City again tonight, or they're going to have to. So I expect I don't know. It's just hard to go against the team that does it every single year against the team that might have it in them, but they haven't really proven it yet. So give me Andy Reid over Liam Cohen in a first big spot for a new head coach here. Pat Mahomes over the Jaguars defense because they've been kind of winning on a ton of turnovers. That's not going to continue. Give me Kansas City tonight, but I'm sure it's close. Because the Chiefs aren't rolling anybody. Well, they did roll Baltimore last week, but they hadn't been up to this point. So I'll take Chiefs in a close game, but they win these games. So I'll take Kansas City tonight.
Chiefs in a close game here as well, though. But I will say this. I think the Jags are looking at this as their big measuring stick type game, right? Where and when's the last time the Jags have had a primetime game at home, too? I can't remember. I mean
the Patriots had their chance last night. The Jaguars get it tonight. Show us. Go ahead. Show us.
If there's anything that's sure about this league through 5 weeks, it's that nothing is sure at this point. This league, this month has been chaotic to say the least. Wouldn't surprise me if the Jags put a real scare into Kansas City tonight.
All I could say after 5 weeks for us was we're back, baby. That's it.
Totally.
I mean, yesterday was a very good. We're back, baby. We are back. All right, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bray Westley Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.